we'll do it. Shoot.
So you know,
it's right. It's around a good time. It's election time.
Right.
So the more she's trying to connect with more people in more ways.
Right. So, all right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up? This your boy D. Once again, and the day all up. We on a porch, a real porch. Look, got the screen door in the background. Sitting in some chairs, shotgun house, and we uptown. Once again, we uptown. 17.
Not really a shotgun.
You know,
It's shot
X. Yeah. When we in the 17th, Holly Grove stand up. We out here in y'all hood, Holly Grove, and we sitting down today as always with my boy Kerry. Once again, always in the house. And today we got a special guest. This guy is really near and dear to our hearts because he family. He family, cuz grew up with him, used to sleep in the same beds and shit together growing up. You know what I'm saying? Spending the night by the house and everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he near and dear to our hearts. But
shit, that's our brother, really.
Yeah.
We grew up as brothers,
Yeah.
honestly. Like,
right, real talk.
Like, we went to every school.
Right.
We went to a different school, high school, but me and him the same age. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. So, and he just coming today to sit on the porch with us, man. And we about to get into some things because guess what, people? He's one of New Orleans' finest.
He is the fabric. He's one of the fabrics of this city.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all probably like, what the hell are you talking about? The fabric of the city. He is New Orleans' finest. NOPD.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know we had a conversation with Cindy Wynn before about like NOPD, what they do, what leadership doing. Obviously, like, you know, what they doing on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's super dope to have my family on here.
Right.
And,
Yes, sir.
And get his perspective.
Yes,
we talk
sir.
about this shit all the time, y'all. So it just be conversations at family events and stuff like that. So and on the porch.
And on the porch. So the day we got him today, and he just gonna give us a little insight. He gonna give us an insight of everything that goes on in this world, in this country today, dealing with social injustice, dealing with what we have our recent wave of carjackings and violent crimes in the city of New Orleans. He's gonna give us the insight that we don't have. And that's the insight from an officer who's out here on the street doing it every night, seeing it every day, and seeing the things that we don't see. You know, so he's gonna give us that insight that we miss a lot. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my boy. I know a lot of people in the city know him. Some of y'all know him as Coby, some of you know him as Coby Steward. Cole, whatever you want to call him, but we call him
officer,
Coby. Officer,
whatever you know,
whatever you know him,
Stu.
man. Stu, you know. I know y'all see him at all his little spots all the time.
Some of y'all know his spots. You know what I'm saying?
That he be at.
If anybody ain't any one of the cigar bars in the city, you know, I ain't gonna tell y'all his spots. Let me leave that alone.
Spots remain private for a reason.
Right. They remain private.
They remain private, so we ain't gonna give you a spot.
I didn't give y'all too much.
Right. So without further ado,
many, so you gonna have to find them.
Without further ado, my homeboy Coby. What's up, boy? What's up, baby? What's up? Nothing much, baby. What it do, bro? What it's like being sitting on? Now, we actually sitting on the porch. We actually chilling, sitting on the porch.
We not just sitting on the porch. We sitting on the porch that we got years history with. Like,
history.
Yeah. Like I always saying, this mailbox behind me. Mailbox about 30 years old. I think this mailbox was here before we got to this house.
Probably so. So look here, cuz. So like I said, we just gonna jump right into it, bro, and just first of all, let's go into what we dealing with for the past few days. Derek Chauvin, right? That's his name, if I said it right.
Got the verdict from that.
Got the verdict from that. 22 and a half years for the death of George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? He was an officer in Minnesota, as we all know. You're an officer here in New Orleans, but you're still a police officer, right?
Yeah.
So what's the whole thing from just a briefing on the whole situation from the death to even to the sentences that we just received a couple days ago.
So my take on it is, number one, unfortunately, that was an ugly situation. that was one of the ugly faces of law enforcement that unfortunately people of color like us have had to deal with more frequently than our counterparts in the white community. Not to try to start no type of racial divide, but it's an ugly truth that we have to deal with. It's basically how the police interacts with the African American community. We have to change that. We got to treat our community like we treat someone who lives on Josephine and Britannia, same way we treat somebody who lives on Josephine and Clara. Two totally different demographics, two totally different economic backgrounds. But as police, we have to have the professionalism to interact and give those people the same respect, no matter which side of the corner, which corner we're on. But to get back into that whole Derek Chauvin, that was a ugly situation that unfortunately, that was one of the faces of the bad apples being part of law enforcement that pretty much could have been avoided. Mm-hmm. I'm not discounting if George Floyd committed a crime, that's fine. You got him cuffed, you got him restrained, put him in a vehicle, get him to where no need to linger around on scene. If he committed a crime, take the necessary action. Necessary action don't mean putting your foot on his neck. Was he resisting? I don't believe so. Everything I saw, it wasn't worthy of what actions that Derek Chauvin, his actions.
Right.
You know,
that ain't action you would have taken.
No. My philosophy, and I always operate against, once the cuffs are on, do what you got to do, get them to where they need to go. What are you holding on to? Unfortunately, everybody don't like getting arrested, and unfortunately, some people have to be arrested. You can't avoid it. It's just the way it is. And I've dealt with people who were 10 times worse than that, and it didn't require me putting my foot on their neck or my knee on their neck. It took some restraint. It took a couple of us, but we were able to figure out a way to safely get this person to where we need them, to prevent them from harming themselves and harming us and harming other people in the community. Mm-hmm. So that whole situation was uncalled for. To me,
do you think the sentence was fair?
Now, here's the deal about sentences. I know we like comparing everywhere. It's different in Minnesota. I'm not familiar with Minnesota laws, because for the simple fact he was charged with 3 different types of murder. Mm-hmm. And here in Louisiana, we can't charge somebody first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and then manslaughter and get a conviction on all 3. Because just to give you guys a background, we categorize murder in 5 different laws. First-degree murder, that's the worst-case scenario. Second-degree murder, that's right under first-degree murder. Then it's manslaughter. What separates first-degree murder and second-degree murder? First-degree murder incorporates you committing another crime in the commission of you committing murder. So say if I rob you, and in the midst of me robbing you, I kill you, that would be considered first-degree murder.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or I don't like you, and I just decide I need to kill you. I'm gonna kill you. That's second-degree murder. I wasn't committing another crime in the commission of committing murder.
I was just come to commit this crime.
And the thing about murder, you got to prove intent. Now manslaughter, this is where it gets different. Manslaughter is, I'm doing something where I'm committing a crime or I'm committing bodily harm from somebody. And unfortunately, that act resulted in the person dying. My intention wasn't to kill you, but my actions, because of my actions, you died. So that would encompass manslaughter. It's like the old saying of a man coming home finding his wife in the bed with another man, and he loses his composure, blacks out, and kills one of them. That kind of will be considered manslaughter.
Because his intent, there wasn't to come home and kill nobody.
It was a crime of passion. That's what we like to call it.
Right. Gotcha.
So, and then we have vehicular homicide and negligent homicide. So that's the way we categorize murder. But back to the George Floyd deal. It comes down to this: with sentencing, That is the last part that's left in the judge's hand. A judge determines what will be reasonable for the defendant who was just found guilty. In Louisiana, you automatically found guilty of first degree murder or second degree murder, life sentence.
Damn, that's Louisiana.
Life sentence. Life sentence. First degree murder, second degree murder. Just know you're in jail for life.
Wow.
First degree murder, there's a possibility they're thinking about death penalty.
Wow.
So, manslaughter, I think it's like a 40-year max. The most common sentencing, the manslaughter been 20 years. As you all know, with the whole Will Smith deal with Cordell Hayes, you know, he actually received multiple 20-year sentences, but they were on concurrent. So he's serving them at the same time. So the max number would be the max amount of years you'd be in jail.
Right.
But you just to get into the ordeal about sentencing. But I don't mean to get off subject, but the whole deal is it's like it's left in the judge's hand. Do I believe that the punishment fit the crime? Me personally, I felt like no, because all this could have been avoided. There were 5 officers on scene against one person. Why did we have to put our knee on his neck? Here.
I don't mean to cut you off. So you just gave your opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now a lot of people would say, a lot of people would be like, your peers around the country, not just here, but around the country, would be like, damn, he ain't back in the blue. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about that, man, because I know it's almost like I ain't gonna say a cult, but I think I don't know. Let me rephrase it. I don't know anything because I'm not a police, but I feel as if it's like a fraternity where everybody gotta kind of like stick together.
I feel what you're saying. And I tell everybody who come with the argument, you're not back in the blue. Put your family member's face, who's not a police officer, on George Floyd's face, and tell me how you would feel in that moment.
Thanks.
Tell me how you would feel in that moment. Let's just admit, we don't have a perfect, nobody has a perfect family. Unfortunately, some people have members of their family, police officers, who are just, they're not very, I ain't gonna say very good people.
Let's be
Either
real.
incarcerated,
They do some
in
stuff,
and out of jail,
and it's just like,
they
now
have,
imagine now, how would you feel? That's your family member on the ground. You're not gonna care about that badge. You all you see is your family member on the ground, and you're gonna raise hell. You're gonna do everything. Like, look, I back my brothers in blue. I just like I expect them to back me to make sure I go home to my family, and make sure they go home to their family. But we're gonna do it the right way. You know, we're gonna follow the rules, follow the laws. We're not gonna violate nobody's civil rights. We're here. We work for the community.
Right. And you know what though? You know what's crazy though? Because like when people talk about these situations, and now I always tell people, I say New Orleans kind of different. You know what I'm saying? NOPD kind of different in a way.
I was
like,
go down.
you know what I'm saying?
It is.
We don't get that from them.
Listen,
I got it. I get where you going with that, me. Look, we very different. Why do you think we are different? And I'm about to give you this. Do you think, because I had an argument with somebody, not a real argument, I think we were just talking about, but I was just saying, man, you know, we don't have the same issues like some other places around the country when it come down to like police brutality and it's the people against the police. I think one of the biggest things is, you just said it, a lot of our family members are police officers. You know what I'm saying? So do you feel like it's the same way? Like, why are these people going into communities that they're not a part of? They don't live there, they don't have no ties to them. How you feel about that, man?
I tell new recruits coming in, understand and learn our culture here in New Orleans. Get to know the people. One thing, me as a field training officer will tell them, look, get to know your community. Your community will help you more than what you think. Don't try to be Superman. Don't think you're superior. You're not. 'Cause there might be an instance, and there's been several documented cases here in the city where an officer was in a bad predicament, and it was the community who stepped in and helped that officer before any other officer could get here to that officer. And that was basically the community had respect for that officer and stepped in and said, no, not him, not her. You're not doing that. And like me, I patrol the neighborhood that I grew up in, that we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
I still come across people say, "Hey, Mr. Wilbur grandson." They don't know my name.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody know my name.
Mr. Wilbur
I'm known by
Mr. Wilbur grandson,
Mr. Wilbur grandson, Miss June's son, or J-Lo brother.
Yeah.
Those the only three. Nobody. I'm talking people that have been knowing me for 30+ years. Nobody knows my name is Coby.
Yeah,
Right.
Nobody.
Mr. Wilbur grandson.
Nobody. I'm talking even some people that I went to school with, who I sat in the class with. Like, dude, we was in Miss Kemp class together.
Yeah, right.
I sat next to you, and you still know me as Mr. Wilbur grandson. You don't even know my name, but
Right.
it's cool. It's just like, you know, I grew up. I patrolled the neighborhood that I grew up in, and that's because, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and say NOPD is the perfect department. We had our moments, but I will say we are ahead of the curve. You know, our department has changed. Our department, from my knowledge, has always been community oriented. Community policing is the term we like to use. Community. Me, I'm one that I believe every community should be involved in some aspect of their local department.
Some people would say the community that you served was one of the worst in back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's remember the years we grew up in Central City, New Orleans. New
Terrible.
Orleans was considered the murder capital of the world.
of the world.
Central City was considered the murder capital of the murder capital.
Right.
And we live right in the middle of all that.
Right.
And the thing about it is now the demographics have changed, but back then it was just unprecedented. Something had to change. Maybe it was the police who decided to roll out a different plan. Say, we need to come up with a different strategy to combat this, because, dude, it was just like, Carrie, I don't know if you remember in the 3rd grade, that we had a classmate that
I was just talking
we
about
had a class literally.
James Darby.
Yeah.
James
Dude,
Darby.
I still remember this day coming to school, and I walked in, I got to school late. I walked in class and I'm looking at Miss Jackson.
Miss
And I'm
Jackson.
thinking I'm in
My
trouble
3rd
now.
grade teacher.
Miss Jackson is just in tears, and she like,
McDonald 36.
Coby, let's go to the cafeteria. And I'm looking around like, what's going on? And then, you know, they kind of told us, but they didn't. It wasn't until I got home, because matter of fact, we made these little pieces, and we gave, I forget what it was, something we brought home to get our parents. And
It was Mother's Day weekend, and it was a Mother's Day.
Mama watching the news,
They
and Mama
shot
like,
him up at
yeah, your classmate, because his mom was showing that little piece. My mom looking at her like, I got the same thing on my wall that they made in school. And
that was at L. Davis Park. I was just having a conversation with you, man.
yeah,
Remember?
So-
L. Davis.
right. It's just, you know, and I think the department realized we need to treat the community better. We can't. It can't be us versus them.
Right.
That's a very bad strategy. You'll lose, and unfortunately, the community will lose, because there are people in the community that needs help.
Right.
They need help. There are
Right.
people that can't defend themselves, and that's what we're supposed to be,
The one.
to help those who can't help themselves,
Right.
can't defend themselves.
So let me ask you this too. Okay, we were saying about how it was when we was growing up uptown, and as we all know, gentrification took a big major part of uptown and turned it into what it is today. And it's almost like they done ran everybody to New Orleans East. All the Section 8, all the impoverished people. You know what I'm saying, to New Orleans East. And it seems like every time you turn on the news, whatever big murder, big crime that's happening is in New Orleans East. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's to me, I just feel like it is impossible that everything that happened bad in the city is in New Orleans East.
It's not. It's popular, but it's not. The most it's popular city. Oh, New Orleans East. I live in New Orleans East. It's not. It's certain areas. New Orleans East is no different than other parts of the city. The same crime that's being committed in the East is being committed up here.
Right.
It's just for whatever reason, it's being portrayed in the East more frequently than it is in other parts of the city. The answer to that is, I don't control the news media.
Right.
I don't control what's being displayed to or being put out there. It's just, I noticed from the inside out, it's just like, yeah, the East have their problems. So does Uptown. So does the French Quarter. So does Mid City. So does Garden District. So does Downtown, the 7th Ward, Bywater, Lower 9, the Upper 9. All these different areas in the city have the same problems. But for whatever reason, we're focused on the East. Everything bad. It's happening in the East.
Right.
It's
Right.
happening in the East. It's happening up here too.
Right.
That's crazy. So he just brought that up, right? We had Cindy on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a
A
couple
couple months ago.
Right. And Cindy was saying the same thing. Now, he lives in the East, but he don't patrol the East. But he giving you his perspective, and she said the same thing. You know, why y'all think the media do that, man? That's some crazy shit. Like, I feel like,
Let's
you know,
let's be real.
it's populated with blacks,
It's majority black.
and that they're trying to send a
Yeah.
message.
It's majority black, and I'll say this: nobody's fighting against it on the East behalf.
Yeah.
Because if you try to portray that Uptown, then you have some people with some strong voices who would advocate against it. Say, hold on, before
Don't
you put
label
that out, don't label Uptown that way. Unfortunately, the East don't have that same voice for somebody to say, hey, you know,
Stop doing
let's. They may have a few, but not as much as Uptown or downtown in those areas.
Cindy said, man, y'all know when they talk about a carjacking Uptown, they'll say Josephine and Magnolia. They ain't gonna say Central City, or they ain't gonna give the area. They're gonna give the street.
They're gonna give you a specific street.
She said
And
the
if you
shit that
don't know,
happened on Diamond that's not even in my district,
they're gonna
and they're gonna say it's the East. She was like, and my district is
And
the
the
East.
thing
I
about
feel
it
that.
is
That's not right.
every place has pockets. So in the East, they have their pockets. We know those pockets in the East. But like you mentioned, you're not saying that particular location. You're basically saying New Orleans East, in New Orleans East, as opposed to somewhere up here, you know, one second and drives.
Right.
They're specific, saying that location.
They specific, right? That's crazy.
Magnolia and Josephine, or Magnolia and Felicity, or MLK and Ferret.
Right.
They'll be specific.
They're not gonna give you.
a direct.
They're not gonna
They
in
gonna,
general.
they gonna say Uptown, Central City,
Garden District.
Garden District. Right. They're not gonna do that. That's crazy. Since we on crime code, I mean, the big thing in this city, bro, is these damn carjackings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Cause, and I ain't lying to you. I got a piece. He got a piece.
I got a piece.
And look, I'm gonna tell you some real shit. The other day when I had Lance in the car, Lance and the girls in the car, we pulled up in front of the gas station, and I ran it. I went into the gas station, turned the car off and everything, right? Had the keys with me. I had my piece. I set it on the armrest, and I took the seat dog. I said, Lance, somebody come up to this truck, fucking with y'all, just pull it. I'm talking about, look, pull it. You know what I'm saying? And I could be wrong in telling him that, but I'm thinking about the safety of my children. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I just want your opinion on not your opinion, but what
y'all
can we
doing,
do?
Man?
Not just what y'all doing
What
as a
y'all
unit,
want the
but what y'all
city
want
to
the
do?
people to do who live in the city. Because when you look on social media and you talk to people, you got people actually
Well, before
almost
you
like
say
turning
that,
into Wild Wild West. People carrying their weapon on them and everything, and you know.
what plan they roll out to y'all that should be rolled out to the citizens? Because I know y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all have like y'all team meetings in the morning or whatever. What's that plan where it's like, man, we really need the citizens involved in this?
So, let's start from the beginning. You're put in that situation. It's basic. You have to understand Louisiana law. We are a pro-gun state, Louisiana. Pro-gun. You can't use deadly force to protect property. And what I mean by property, when you're at the gas station pumping gas and the dude open the door to try to steal the car, shooting, you might be in a bad situation because what threat did people up? What threat did he
pose on you or
your family that would determine or not determine? What threat did he pose on you or your family that would cause it? You didn't react the way you did react. You or your family member will lose their life. Let's talk about the situation at hand. We get into all other scenarios. But this scenario, you're at the gas station, you're pumping, you got the kids in the car. The dude walk up, open the door, they're trying to take something. Without you shooting, what threat did you pose to you and your family? Let me ask you this. You didn't see a weapon or anything. He opened that door. If you don't shoot, if something happened to your family member, will it end up causing a great bodily harm to them or dying because of that young man's action? Just not. No. Think about it on the surface.
Right. No, I'm not thinking. Okay, I'm thinking about it on the surface. You're right. Nothing probably wouldn't have happened. But what I'm saying is, as a man and a father, I supposed to watch this nigga just rifle through my shit and just be like, and my daughter's looking like, Daddy, what you gonna do?
Wait. We're talking about deadly force. Using deadly force. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Think about what we have on the surface. You're at the gas pump. A young man approaches your pump, opens your door. You don't see a weapon. You don't see a gun. He just opened your door. At that moment, and let's just say he don't have a gun. You don't see a gun, he don't have a gun.
Right.
At that moment, if you don't use your deadly force, is his actions going to cause great bodily harm to you or your family?
Nah, probably not.
I didn't say you couldn't pull him out the car and beat his ass. I'm talking about deadly force.
You talking about killing him? All right.
I'm talking about deadly force.
Right.
I'm not talking about you and Lil Lance decide, dude, we got to deal with you now because you done roll up on the wrong ones.
Right. Okay.
I'm talking about deadly force. Deadly force meaning the firearm. In that moment, there's no gun. You didn't see a gun. Would your actions, you did not do what you thought you was going to do. Do not use deadly force. Will it cause great bodily harm to you or your family? That's the question. That's going to be the question that's going to get asked to you when the police get involved, and then when this case make it to the courts, and it make it to the DA's office. They're going to ask that question. Now, I'm going to throw another scenario at you. And the dudes with them choppers, they come at your car and your family in there. By all means, you see that chopper? It's open season.
Open season. Wow.
It's open season.
So, right, because now
but see what's happening though.
You threatened my life with that chopper.
But what's happening though, they sending in a dude to go and jump in your car that don't have nothing, but the car that's riding by got the choppers. So what do I do? Do I off this
always pay attention to your surroundings. Always don't have tunnel vision. Always keep your head on the swivel, paying attention around you. I had a friend who asked me, I remember this, the first year I was on the job. She's like, why are you looking everybody up and down that come through this door? I said, because I'm trying to figure out this person that's threatening me. I've been trained to not basically categorize people or pretty much group them, but it's just, I need to know, are you a threat or not? If not, cool, I'm good. I'm always paying in my head the way I was trained, preparing for the worst case scenario. Like even here right now on this porch, I'm looking around and I'm thinking about what's the worst case scenario that can happen to us. What can happen to us? What would be my plan of action? You know, I don't know about y'all two, but I know I'm gonna be all right. And me being me, not only do I need to make sure I'm all right, I need to make sure y'all all right, and I need to make sure they inside all right.
Right.
So I'm thinking, you know, what's my plan of action? What can I do to make sure that if something happens, I can address the threat and not harm anybody else around me, and prevent anybody else around me from getting harmed or causing harm to them.
Right.
So the thing is, just pay attention to your surroundings. Always pay attention to your surroundings. Don't ever leave a car running. If you have to, I don't care if you have to get out your car and take one footstep to the right, to the left. If you have to do that, turn your car off, take the key out, take that footstep to the left, then get back in your car.
You know what? I don't get it. Well, I don't go to the gas station. I go to freaking Sam's all the time. So I don't get
Another thing, just go to be aware of your surroundings. I will avoid going to gas stations at night. Again, this is another thing, you know, they're portraying that gas stations in the east, gas stations in the east, gas stations uptown have the same problem, gas stations downtown have the same problem. You see, so
I seen a map, man, and I don't know if it was floating around social media, and it was showing like what most populated gas stations that hit. And can you take a guess on what area it is? Gentilly has the most gas stations, you know, carjackers in the whole city. They had these little red dots all over the map. The East had a few, right? Because it happens in the East, but Gentilly is actually.
But you know what? And I noticed that too. They kind of try to lump right there over when you come over the bridge, right before you get to Louisiana. They try to lump that, the media try to lump that as New Orleans East too.
It's not.
And it's not. We all know it's not. But they try to lump that as New Orleans East
so
too.
People try to show you, man, everybody runs into Gentilly. But this is what shit is happening.
Crime is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. I'm gonna tell you, make sure you're in a well-lit area. And here's another thing, man. Let's think about it. Let's be 100% clear. We're talking about protecting material. I'm one for, by all means, doing what you got to do to protect yourself. That also includes like that. If you don't think you can take them on to protect your family, of giving up whatever they seeking is the best option to protect your family, by all means. We can replace material things. We pay a shitload of money on ammunition. We can, as hard as you think it is, but you realize that when you get caught at bad times, you ever know that you're able to come out because you don't understand how you're able to adapt, how you're able to replace something. Don't try to be a hero or be a hero. Be like, you know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You know, because unfortunately, these dudes running around here with some serious firepower. And what's worse is they don't know how to use these weapons. These are some strong, powerful weapons. So now you take into consideration they're scared, and these high-powered weapons, they don't know how to use them. And now you're looking at potential good. Yourself in harm's way, your family in harm's way, everybody around you in harm's way. Because this person don't know how to operate and use. There's been several scenes I've been on where we've collected close to 50 to 100 rounds, shell cases, and nobody was shot. Everything else around was hit, but the intended target. And it's basically, they got high-powered weapons and don't know how to use them. So this is another thing to think about. You know? Think about your family. Think about the situation. Always think about the end in sight. What do you want to come out in the end from these situations? You, your family, and no one else unharmed.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
You want everybody, you want to be able to go home and said we survived.
Right.
It's a traumatic situation. We can deal with it later, but the most important part is we are here.
Right.
We are still amongst each other. I still have you. I may have lost the vehicle. I may have lost whatever. I can replace that. I can replace that.
So my next question is, my next thing gonna be this here. Because now a lot of people, you know, like I said, a lot of people carrying their firearms now, carrying their guns. Everybody do know Louisiana is an open carry state. But a lot of people don't understand what open carry means. So give a little breakdown of what open carry means and how you supposed to carry your firearm on you, and how you supposed to carry even when you in your vehicle.
All right. So let me break it down. Louisiana is an open carry state, meaning you can carry your firearm out in the open. It has to be visible. If you want to carry your weapon concealed, you have to get a license. Me, I am pro Second Amendment. I believe everybody should utilize the Second Amendment right. That's just me. It's my personal thought. Don't just get a gun and sit in your family. Train with that gun. Understand how the gun operates. Think about scenarios where you have to use this firearm. How would you use this firearm? If you use this firearm, are you proficient in using this firearm? Meaning you have a greater chance in eliminating the threat as opposed to harming other people around you who aren't threats that just so happen to be around you while using this firearm.
Cool. Pause. I want to ask you something. You just said something, and I think maybe I could be wrong. I think you talking about learning how to use your firearm. Don't the state police have maybe a class for citizens, or is that they may be a motorcycle class, state police? But don't they have? Okay.
So back to Louisiana open carry state. You have to carry a firearm open carry. Can be a convicted felon. Can't have any documented mental issues, and you can't be under any type of protection order where you are prohibited from contact or being in the vicinity of a protected person. Now, throw one out there for my boy, Angel Arms Noble, brother Isaiah. He does concealed carry classes.
Okay. So
to do the concealed carry classes, state police issues the permits. You can go to a gun range. Most gun ranges, they offer they have instructors that work at the gun range and a teaching class. It's a one-day class. It's about a 9-hour class. You spend time in the classroom going over everything about gun laws in Louisiana. They're learning about guns themselves, the nomenclature, how to break down a gun safely, how to clean your weapon, how to have your weapon around children, how to keep children safe from coming in contact with your weapon, how to clean your weapon, and also how to use your weapon. So you can go to basically any gun range. They're offering Angel Arms NOLA. They do a great job every Saturday. They concealed carry classes. It's a one-day class. It'll take about a couple months once you've done everything. The instructor, who has to be a certified instructor through the state and a couple other organizations, they sign off on the paperwork, basically stating that you successfully, satisfactorily passed the course for concealed carry. Send it up to the state police. They sign off on your application and issue your permit. The good thing about it, our permit is not just good here. We have states called compact states, but it will recognize licenses that we have here in Louisiana, say like Georgia. So if I go to Georgia and I need a concealed carry to go in Georgia, Georgia will recognize my Louisiana concealed carry, and I wouldn't have to go through the process again in Georgia. So,
all right. So let me ask you this here: with carrying your firearm, right? All right, you open carry, you're not concealed, but you carry the firearm. What would be a way you can do? Do you have to have the holster, or could you carry like what would be what in what form of carrying your firearm in the open carry state, would you where somebody see you with it and then say, oh, you posing a threat with it?
What if for me, if I don't have a host and I put it under my arm and I'm just walking in the store, is that concealed or that's?
Am I posing a threat with it? How does that go? That's what I'm asking. How does that go?
Here's the thing. Threat is an open interpretation. Is somebody can say how you sitting there looking at me, you posing as a threat to me.
Yeah.
So that is got to be like, man, Carrie, the way Carrie looking at me, man, he a threat right now. So
yeah.
I'm in a holster visible and just showing visibly in a holster.
That's the best way to carry.
That's the best way to carry. In a holster where it's visible. Me, I recommend everybody getting the concealed carry license because to me, it's not just so you can carry concealed. You're forced to learn safety. You're forced to learn how to operate this weapon, how to break down this weapon, how to use this weapon. That's why I'm pro concealed carry, because it's forcing you to train with this weapon, to understand, so you're not reckless
with it.
You're not
so Cole, is it two set? So I know you talked about the concealed carry class with Isaiah, right? But you also talked about the class at the gun range. Is it two separate classes that you have to take?
No.
You just saying?
I'm just saying the gun range, they offer, they do the classes.
They do the same thing.
They do the same thing.
Oh, same thing he do.
Yeah, they do the same thing.
He's just putting the plug for his partner.
Yeah.
He just shamelessly put that plug out there for
how
his
much
partner.
is those? How much are typically those classes?
I know, like 150.
Yeah, I think they are like most gun ranges. They be like 150.
And
so he's going to be competitive with Isaiah. Going to be competitive with the gun ranges.
Right.
Isaiah runs specials every now and then.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Just go follow him, right?
Yeah, go follow him.
What's his name?
Angel Arms Nola.
Angel Arms Nola.
Shameless.
He'll hook you up. But that's why I'm pro concealed carry. Because like me in the academy, man, we got this stuff drilled in our head, you know, about these firearms. We joke a lot on the police department, but when it comes to these firearms, it's like, all right, y'all, leave all that shit at the door. We working right now. We dealing with firearms. This is a serious deal. Clean these weapons. Take care of these weapons. Don't be reckless or careless with these weapons. Knowing how to shoot these weapons. Practicing safety with these weapons. Training. Constantly training. Don't just come learn one time. Consistently train with these weapons. Don't just have one just to say you have one. But train, practice. Safety. Because I know at the end of the day you want to protect your family. But you have to understand, you want to safely protect your family. You don't want to put your family in harm's way of yourself because you think just because you got a gun you're good, y'all protecting. You don't know how to use that thing. And you start letting them rounds off and them rounds going everywhere but the person right in front of you who's posing as the threat.
Right.
So cool. What age do you think is a safe age to start, training your children?
Start them young.
Young like what? 5?
I'd say about 7 or 8.
Okay.
You gotta think about it. Most kids in these countries,
they already
know at 7 years old rifles.
Start training around 7 or 8. That's the age where they're starting to understand, figuring out what's right from wrong. Getting them to, and I learned this from one of my instructors. She said I started my child off early, around 7 or 8, 6 or 7, and she was like, I wanted him to understand the seriousness that this firearm carries if you play with it. And she was like, when he fired that one round, she was like, he saw like, wait a minute, this ain't nothing to play with. Like this can cause some damage. And she did it, and she wanted him to understand, like, look, don't mess with mommy's firearm. Don't do this. You understand the damage this can cause. Even playing around with this. Don't do it. So start them off young. And in that scenario you brought to me, it's like, hey, if I'm not here, I can't do nothing. Listen, bro, you next up. Protect your sisters.
You need to know how to use it.
You need to understand this and know this. Protect your sisters. Do it safely. do it how I taught you. Remember, at the end of the day, we want everybody to be safe.
Right.
So practice, training, safety. I'm gonna keep hammering it. Safety, 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 safety. Don't just get a gun just say you got one. Train with it. And even if you don't want to go to concealed carry, go to a gun range once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Go and get with the guys who work at the gun range. They'll help you out. They're on their off time like, look, and come back on a certain day. We're gonna go some.
Do you have a gun range that you would recommend? Other than Isaiah, I know Isaiah have his classes on the weekend.
Isaiah does his classes on the weekend. He has a place where he does classroom portion.
During the week, if I had to go to a gun range, what would you recommend?
Shooters Club in Harahan.
I go, yeah. David Drive.
There's the gun range in St. Bernard Parish. Jefferson Outlet right down Airline, next to Airline Skating Center. They just, it's been a minute since I've been there. I remember going in there and it's just like 2 lanes. They expanded it. Now it's like 7 or 8 lanes. And unfortunately, the last little incident a couple months ago over there, but still talking to some people. That's a good quality range to go to. So there's just some spots I recommend.
Because the one in St. Bernard, you could bring anything up there.
And that's another reason why I like St. Bernard is you can bring along long rifles. Because most gun ranges like Shooters Club and all them, they don't let you shoot anything over a 40 caliber. They don't let you shoot any high power rifles like a 223 or M15 or any things of those nature, because they're so strong. They don't have the protection to prevent that round from continuing to go on or causing any type of damage. So that's why they limit it. At St. Bernard, from my understanding how they got it set up, they have the setup to accommodate those higher power firearms.
Yeah, that's what I was told. St. Bernard, you want to go in there with your shit? Go in there with the big stuff. St. Bernard is the place. So
we talked about a lot, right?
Right.
I do want to ask a question, just kind of getting back on. I know we talked about the George Floyd. I've had, with my company, we typically, since the George Floyd, every quarter we had like a diversity call talking about like, blacks being disproportionately, racially profiled by police. You know what I'm saying? And then, over the last year, we had so many cases across the country that white officers were killing black kids. The one with the lady that killed the boy in the car, and he wasn't reaching for any type of firearm. She thought it was a taser. He had the one that the dude was in the drive-through, and he go and get his food, but he went to sleep. I think he was drunk, right? And then he tried to run away. They shot him in the back. You had so many cases. That was just a few that I highlighted, and I think I was on a call one of these times, and I was talking about that in particular. Like, I was like, man, if that was my cousin in some of these cases, not in those in particular, in some of these cases, if that was my cousin, any one of my cousins that's on the force, shit, they gotta protect themselves. Not those in particular, but cases that could have seemed like it would have been a threat, right? They was reaching for a gun, knife, or whatever the case may be. Which one of those cases, any case that you felt like that, damn, bro, that could have been avoided? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you've seen all of these cases throughout the time that it was going on. Had so many going on. Which one would you say, man, which one or two would you say, man, damn, that shit could have been avoided? If I was there, that shit wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? That dude would have lost his life. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what, or which one of them would you say, shit, they needed to do that? I would have responded just like that officer.
It's hard to say, I would respond the same way, because everybody reacts different. One case that stood out to me was the Philando Castile case in Minnesota. The young man had a firearm. Told the officer, look, I got a firearm. I do a class with a group of people once a year, and I talk about, I tell them, listen, if you have a firearm, let the officer know. Because I've come in contact with some people. Say, officer, I've come in contact New Year's Eve, pull a call over, the dude immediately threw their hands up, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, y'all just ran a red light. I just stopped y'all because y'all ran a red light, and I look on the back seat, and I see that high-power rifle, and I'm like, all right, yeah, y'all keep your hands up. Call for backup. We was able to safely get them out of the car, render the weapon safe, and realizing that, you know, hey, y'all pretty much, y'all good. This y'all firearm, you have it back seat. Y'all just had a red light. I just need to make sure this weapon was safe. But I think about the Philando Castile case where, you know, that officer, that was just uncalled for. He told you he had a firearm. You told him, you know, I forget how it ended up, but for whatever reason, he shot him and ended up killing him. It's like, for what? That was uncalled for. You know, another case I think about, and this is a sticky situation with the Alton Sterling. I just felt like Baton Rouge. Oh, yeah, better tactics could have prevented that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that was a bad one.
It was bad all across the board. It's unfortunately those officers, they kind of put themselves in a position where, I'm not gonna say they had to use deadly force, but different tactics could have caused that case itself to be handled in a different light. Granted, there's some other circumstances surround that entire incident that kind of was taken into strong consideration when they were determining, you know, whether or not to charge the officers or do whatever. And it was just like some instances that they had to consider. But I thought that was a case like, I wish, you know, it could have been done different, or better tactics could have been used. And I don't like to Monday morning quarterback, because I could sit here and say, you know, I would have done something different, but you never know how you're going to respond to something until you're in that predicament.
I know, but this is, I guess, I don't know if it's just the media or this is just real life. How does shit always happen with a person of color? Because I ain't gonna say black, because Hispanics been involved in these things too, right?
Yeah.
But you know, a person of color and a white officer. Why we don't never see black officers? Sometimes you'll see black officers on the scene of situations, but why is not why aren't, so I guess it's going back to, all right, when you and your, and I don't want to put y'all you're in a position where you're answering something that you know, but when you and one of your white colleagues go on the scene, right, and it's somebody, and I hate a person of color, right, and you see or not see, and y'all have to deal with a very irate situation, you know what I'm saying? How is it that it is majority of the time the white officers dealing with the situation and end up in a situation of killing a person of color? Like, it's too often that this is happening, and it makes me, and I mean friends and family of mine that are of color think, damn, should I be afraid of this white man that pulled me over?
I'm gonna say this: you have every right to feel the way you feel, and don't be surprised when we talk about this in our department, in our roll calls, in our meetings, about, you know, pretty much racial profiling. It's a big issue. I don't know. I don't know what's going through those white officers' mind, because I'm not them. You know, I've know here for us, we black officers have intervened on several instances, and we kind of, like, you know, had it out like, look, we need to meet in the parking lot. Like, if we saw something, you know, that stunt you pull, don't do that. We don't do that here. I don't know what type of police you think you in, but we don't do that here. You treat people, it goes back to treating people with respect. It's unfortunately,
so that shit happens, bro. That's crazy.
It's an issue.
I get on that conversation, but I get so passionate about it, and the reason
it's a hard situation.
With anger, and it makes me like, you know, I hate to say it, bro. You know, I in my lifetime, you know, growing up in New Orleans, you know, it wasn't in your face. The racial racial shit wasn't in your face. I went to Natchitoches, I seen it. It was in my face.
I'ma say it wasn't in your face. You just didn't know how to recognize it.
I didn't know how to recognize.
We didn't know how to recognize it growing up. Because I'm like that now. I'm seeing stuff and thinking, you know, growing up, I thought that was just a way of life. I'm like, no, it's not right. No, hell no.
Well, cool. Think about it. And I had this conversation on one of my calls. Think about it. We went to school, and it was all white teachers. That was volunteers. And I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you. A lot of those volunteers, me and Coby went on a whole trip paid for by a white man and his family. Right? Volunteer. They didn't have to do that for us. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So what I mean by, you know, I didn't see it. I seen it, but I didn't. It wasn't in my face because we were introduced to, or we was around stuff that didn't show us that every day. When I went to Northwestern, I seen it, and I'm like, damn, this shit is crazy. And now to see it like every day, like when I went to Northwestern, man, I had flipped my whole mindset and like I don't fucking trust white people. You know what I'm saying?
You get put in situations like that, and it's unfortunate about this country. We still have a ugly face that we just gotta deal with, you know. And I'm not trying to say that, you know, just gotta deal with it. It's like damn, man, like come on, let's do better. Like we are serving the community. Let's do better. Like why? This didn't call for hold on, let me tell this story before you. Talking to a veteran senior officer, got about 27, 30 years on the job. Me and him at the cigar lounge smoking a stogie. And we talking, he chopping up, he telling me, Coby, I had to check somebody, bro. The dude from somewhere else out the country did something. And I saw it, and it's like I had to immediately check him about it. I had to let him know, like, look, bro, don't do that here. Because what you're gonna do is, you're gonna do something, and then when the shit hits the fan, you're gonna just pick up and leave and go back home to where you come from. And we're gonna be stuck here dealing with the outrage from what you did. And to me, it takes more of us stepping in and saying, hey, now we're not allowing this shit. We gotta hold ourselves accountable. Unfortunately, we fail because I've seen some of the things and I just don't have the answer for it.
But it seems like y'all got accountability. I mean, we don't have those issues. Y'all hold y'all people accountable on the New Orleans Police.
We do. We put measures in place where we hold ourselves accountable. There's a new program that started through an officer that worked here called EPIC. And basically, it allows officers to intervene when it seems like an officer is getting to that line, about to cross the line, and basically allowing another officer to step in and intervene. We do it a lot here because, you know, at the end of the day we realize, like, hey, let's not cause no trouble that's gonna put us in a shithole. Like we are here to protect the people. And the thing about here I love about New Orleans is, man, we interact with our community. You know, like I say, I patrol the community that I grew up in. These same people that know me since I was a little small ass kids with shit in my diapers. You know, it's like they could pick up the phone and like, look, boy, I'll call your mom and your grandpa right now. Don't come around here thinking you big and bad. And like, no, ma'am.
So that's the thing. So I was saying earlier, how do we talk about, like, all over the country, right? You got people that's coming in, like you said, yeah, bro, you gonna go back to fucking Wichita, Kansas, you know what I'm saying? Or freaking, you know, I don't know, you gonna go back to wherever the hell you came from. How do we start minimizing the people? Like, I'm not minimizing the people that's not in our communities to police our communities and say and do more to recruit the people within the community.
We have to do a better effort of recruiting from within the community. Number two, we have to do a better effort of vetting people. Like, I don't know. I don't work in recruiting. I don't know. I only know what went through when I was going through the hiring process, and they thoroughly vetted me. You know, knocked on doors, asked people about me, called family members, references, checked everything. I don't have the answer to that question. Like, what could we do to?
Well, what would you do? Now, what would you do if you was a recruiter in some of these places like the place in freaking upstate. I forgot where it was. I think it was Detroit.
You find out as much information about the candidate as possible. You ask everybody. You need no corner unturned. You need. I think I said that right. No stone unturned.
Right.
You follow up everything. You find out their blood type, their DNA, what size underwear they wear, what size shoe they wear. You know.
I think that's important, man.
How many girlfriends you had in high school?
Right.
How many fights you had? You know, you ask all the questions, and you kind of you give them my scenario. You kind of deceive them a little bit, like, all right, man, we talking off camera right now. This unofficial, off the record. You got this situation. How you tell me how you really gonna handle that, and use that like, all right, nah, this dude still got some racial. Racial bias in them, like, no, dude, you can't come here, especially you being.
But
a
if
white
it's
man.
one of these that's interviewing them,
we have to do a better job of holding ourselves accountable. Our department is doing it. We are.
And like
I think
said,
we have a lot of people.
I'm not gonna say we're the best department. I would say we're one of the better departments. We still have our troubles with us, but we're working. We're actively working. I can say. Majority of the men and women of NOPD is actively working to make things better, so we can better serve our community.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm not just saying to say this to blow smoke up your ass because you're my cousin, but really and truly, we NOPD they don't give off like that intimidation like you'll feel if it was probably LAPD, or if it was or if you was probably somewhere in Alabama.
If you're in Chalmette.
If you're in Chalmette, you know what I'm saying? It's like they and I guess it's because, like we said, you our family. You know what I'm saying?
St. Charles Parish.
Yeah, St. Charles Parish. You know what I'm saying? You know
that with that
it's almost like you could. Like at a parade, if you at a parade or something, or you anywhere in the corner or whatever, and you roll up on the NOPD officer, and y'all can just start bullshitting right there with no problem. You know what I'm saying?
Just told y'all they in their community.
Right, we can just start bullshitting and it'd be like
we have to include our community. I'm for one. We got to get our community involved. I recommend if y'all wherever you at. You know, if the police department is having a Citizens Academy, attend it, go to it. Try to understand and know what goes on in the everyday operation of your police department. You know, you get hands-on training, you understand and see everything that's been taught to officers, the training that they have to do yearly. You learn everything, ins and outs. You learn what are you looking at, what are you dealing with when you go on calls? What are your expectations? How are you approaching these things? You know, I'm not gonna say that everybody's perfect. We got our bad days. Some days we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and we have to. It takes a lot for us to kind of put that to the side and say, okay, let me have an open mind, be objective, and deal with the situation at hand. And unfortunately, you got to deal with your own feelings, own situation, and whatever you got going on in life, and it gets tough. I'm not saying that's an excuse or an out for somebody to treat somebody else like shit, but it's just basically saying everybody's human. Sometimes people don't mess up. Unfortunately for us, we work in a field where a mess up can be detrimental to not just us, somebody else, possibly our family. So it's a lot of hard work. So it's not easy waking up and putting the uniform on and just going out and just doing the work. Especially like, look, I got the same problems that y'all have going on.
Right.
It's just not only do I have to address my problems, some people I got to come help you address your problems and solve them,
right.
and then go deal with my problems. So my workload is double, and it's just remaining, just putting different measures in place to keep a level head, to keep everything in check, and just looking out for your everyday brother. Like, look, man, you all right, bro? I'm a phone call away. Like, look, you need to go pull over to the side somewhere and talk it out, or you need to vent, release some stress. Let me know, because I would hate for one of us to get in that situation to where we let personal feelings get involved in, because whatever we got going on cause us to react in a certain way that could be detrimental, and just trying to prevent all that. But,
Right. Well, I feel you, cuz. So, cuz, look, I enjoyed this. It was a lot of information out there, a lot of information you gave today that a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people just didn't know, and you gave it, and hopefully it'll help whoever listening to understand how to go forward when dealing with law enforcement, even when dealing with the knuckleheads in the streets today. You know what I'm saying? So
dealing with your own firearms.
Yeah, dealing with firearms and everything. So that was a lot of information you gave, cuz. I appreciate you for stopping by.
Appreciate y'all for having me, bro.
Remember, he done made it to the porch. But
porch.
Guess what, y'all? All his opinions expressed was his own.
Right.
There was not anything, dealing with NOPD and
that was all his opinions. Right.
What I say, NOPD.
That's all.
So all his opinions were expressed was his own. But he is an officer of NOPD.
So we don't need nobody listening to this and say, oh, look what NOPD teaching their people. No, he kept telling y'all these are his opinions and his opinions only. Now, when he gave y'all facts, he said this is what he learned in training.
And this is our cousin. We sitting on the porch with our cousin.
Right.
He's not no spokesman for NOPD.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
you
maybe one day he will be, but I don't know. Who knows? He may be like a chief. Who knows? He might be sitting on the.
You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Who knows? Because your boy may run for milk. You know what I'm saying?
Who knows?
Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
But this was super dope, though.
Yeah, this was fun, baby. This was fun.
I kind of learned some stuff too, bro. Like, especially with firearms. I know I'm probably gonna go get my concealed weapon.
Safety, man. Train with your weapon. Learn your weapon. Don't just get lackadaisical with your weapon, right? Always shoot that thing like it's loaded and it could go off at any point. Especially with everybody having kids around. And, kids are inquisitive. They want to know what things are going on. Don't be afraid to teach your kids about firearms. Just teach them to understand and know what it is, and teach them so they can understand and know the harm that it can cause.
Right. So man, cuz, thank you, bro. We know y'all. I know y'all got like a hiring thing going on now.
Yeah, man. Join NOPD.org.
Join NOPD.org.
Anybody want to come on?
Get your family, your friends,
everybody. Look,
they gonna vet you though.
They gonna
believe that.
It's a small gesture, but I always say, man, if you want a better solution, come join, be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. We always welcome to having, people from our community come join the force, learn the right way, be respectful, provide services to our community, and help better strengthen our community to preserve our city for generations to come. So we can pass on everything we learn and love about New Orleans to the future generation, so they can take New Orleans and bring it to the next level, bring it to the next generation.
Y'all heard it, man.
You never know. You know what I'm saying? That, this dude said a lot, bro. Like, bringing us to the next generation, bro. Like, that's super, super important. Simply because if we want to stop the crime in the city, let's get the people, our people, your cousin, your neighbor, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your daddy, if he on the police force, and that's his nephew that's out there trying to pull on somebody's car, he could go and talk to him, right? Versus we having somebody from freaking Wichita trying to deal with your nephew that could possibly be killed in this situation while they pulling on somebody's car. So all of that, I think all of that works together. All of it works together. We get the people in the community to police the community, and guess what's gonna happen to the community? They ain't gonna rob that community. They're not gonna shoot it up. You know what I'm saying? So dope. I'm glad NOPD is hiring. I hope we get a lot of people from right here in the city. And I hope 95% of 100% of them are from the city.
From the city of New Orleans.
Continue to, move on that trajectory that y'all doing, man.
Right. So once again, thank you, bro. Y'all see the rain coming down. We sitting out here in this rain on the porch. You know what
He
I'm
gotta do
saying?
the top photo.
It's still top four.
Top four, what's the top four?
You pick your top four.
Your
top
four
four restaurants
in the
top
city of New
four.
Orleans. Woo! Top four eateries. It gotta be the top four eateries. Local.
Now he at NOPD, so he all over the city, eating everywhere. Now he ain't gonna tell y'all his real spot.
No, I'm gonna give y'all the real. I'm gonna give y'all the real.
It's top four in the city of New Orleans.
Start with number 4.
Coming from Coby, coming from Coby Steward. Start with number 4. Gotta be local, no change.
Number 4. I'm gonna just throw it out there because I really can't put them in order. Number 4, I'm gonna throw out Munch Factory.
Man,
Munch Factory.
Dope. I went to school with him. Shout out Jordan and his wife. They actually got a location in the airport now.
Munch Factory. This is another good spot. Pepperoni Rays.
What is it, man?
You just putting it on
Franklin.
Franklin. Pizza joint. They good, fresh.
Man, I've been trying, but they're not open on Sundays.
And
They close, and they ain't open on Mondays.
And
They close early.
Man.
So every time we try to get them, we try to get them for a Saints game, and we can't get them.
Yeah, they good though. They good.
I heard they
good.
Number 2, I'm gonna go for a barbecue spot that I like. It's called Crescent City Barbecue. Crescent City Barbecue.
What is it?
On Rampart by Rampart and Quiet.
Oh, I know what that's at.
Yeah.
They got the big pig on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Can't miss them. Big old pig. It smells good.
Rampart and
Fire.
Rampart.
You know,
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where they at. Man, I've never eaten that before.
Big pig
What you
on the
get
side
from
of
over
the
there?
I used to barbecue chicken.
Oh, okay.
They did 3 meat platter. They burnt brisket burnt ends. They brisket burnt ends and they Brussels sprouts. Best on the menu.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go there.
And
Number 1.
we always do the drum roll. And then you gotta, bro, when I finish the drum roll, you gotta say it. You can't wait till after I finish, be like, so drum roll, please.
Number 1 spot, Chop House.
What is it?
Magazine Street.
Man,
Steakhouse.
We
I have to throw
just-
steakhouse in there.
we just went to Chop
Nah, I'm
House
gonna
for
be honest
Father's
with y'all.
Day.
I threw y'all a curveball. I'm not telling y'all my favorite steakhouse. But no, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Chop House, great steakhouse.
That's Emerald. That's one of Emerald.
It's
Okay.
it's one of the pricey spots.
Pricey one.
I'm gonna say this: you gonna get every bang for your buck.
Right.
So I just went there for Father's Day. Super. Dog, I've never had a fried lobster before. Fried lobster, that's off the chain.
Oh, okay.
We had the Delmonico steak. We had the fried lobster.
You never tried that.
Man, it was.
I'm gonna have to try that. So y'all heard it from Coach. Y'all heard it from him. Number 4, Munch Factory. Number 3,
Damn, I forgot that quick.
damn, what?
Pizza, man.
Yeah.
Pepperoni Rays. man.
Number
Pepperoni
4,
Rays.
Munch Factory. Number 3, Pepperoni Rays. Number 2 was
Crescent City Barbecue.
Crescent City Barbecue. Big pig on the side of the building.
I'm gonna have to try those two.
And number 1, Chop House on Magazine Steakhouse.
I'm gonna throw a few honorable mentions in there. G's.
You always ready to throw a few honorable mentions in there.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. If you'd have been like top 4 basketball players, I'd have shot that list off like that. You'd have been like top 4 quarterbacks ever in NFL history.
But we ain't do that.
Restaurants, because I'm like, you just trying a city that we love food. I gotta pick the 4 best spots, and I'm sitting there like, it really sometimes it depends on my mood.
Yeah.
I could be like,
So if I said pick the 4 top cigar balls in this mama, you'd
He ain't gonna tell you.
I mean, it's only like 4. So, you know, it's just like a lot of places. But G's Pizza was one of them that I thought about. It's pretty
What
cool.
G's Pizza?
He have a couple locations on Howard, across the street from the WBSU building.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one on Mid-City on Bienville, closer to Canal Boulevard.
Could you sit in there?
Yeah, you can sit in. And he have another one at the Belknap Bar on Magazine.
Ooh, you know what? That's one I'm about to bring the girls because we're going to go sit in G's Pizza.
Yeah, bro.
This show.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's G's. You say in the balcony?
Yeah.
That's G's? Oh, well, I had them before.
Yeah.
They pieces all the chain.
That's where we're going. We're going to sit in G's and get
Upstairs.
the pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He
you
run
order,
the kitchen.
you order a large pizza,
Yeah.
and we just sit there and just have fun.
They'll love it.
That's where we going. Me and the girls, we're going to sit in G's Pizza once we finish
They
this
better
show.
than New York pizza? Oh, man.
I'm not a fan of New York pizza,
Really?
so any place that associate themselves with New York pizza, you lost with me.
We're going to sit in G's, y'all.
You said you lost it with that one.
We want to thank Coby Steward for coming sit down with us on the porch, bro. Gave us a lot of information today on, hey, man, you got to watch the show. I'm not going to tell you no more. You got to watch the show. But thank Coby for sitting down, talking with us, man. One of New Orleans' finest, NOPD. Thank you, bro. Thank you again for coming sit down, bro.
All right, Cole.
Once again, I had my boy Kerry with me today. Good show. We did it again, bro.
Check Cole out on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Coby Steward.
Coby Steward. Y'all heard it.
On Instagram.
We did it again, bro.
And what's your part of Instagram again? Got to shout him out too.
Oh, Angel Arms Nola.
Angel Arms
Y'all want
Nola.
to get those concealed carry classes.
Yeah,
And not
Angel.
just concealed carry, man. You want to get some training with your firearm. Hit them up.
Angel Arms Nola. Check him out.
Me, we gotta tag him. Tag him on there.
Tag, we're going to definitely put him in. Angel Arms Nola. Go check it out. Look, thank everybody for looking at the show. Thank everybody for just being part of On the Porch. You know, we constantly growing. I just want to thank the people that's with us and continue to be with us. And we just want to thank the new people that's coming along for the ride. On the Porch Podcast on IG and on Facebook, and On the Porch with D and Crew on YouTube.